That was, we lived in a near Arcadia, and while we had the Burger King, an opportunity came up to buy a restaurant, and my father always wanted to own a restaurant because he loves socializing, he loved playing with the food and alcohol and all that. So he got a broker, and the broker found this restaurant. At that time, it was called Royal Turtle. It was right next to Santa Anita racetrack. So I talked to a bank and arranged the financing, and we were able to purchase that restaurant.
What was that like, going in and asking for financing at a bank at your age?
Oh, there's a funny story associated to that. So I put on my best suit, and I asked my friends. Most of my friends were a lot older than me. Some of them are 20, 30 years older than me. Because where can I get a loan for $150,000? Now remember, in 1982, 83, $150,000, you can buy a huge house in LA. Okay, my uncle bought a house over there in 1979 for $20,000. So it's worth $1 million. It was that cheap. So I walked in. Somebody told me Mitsui Bank is really business bank. They are easy to deal with and all that. So I walked into Mitsui Bank, and there were about 8, 9 desks. It says loan officer, loan officer. So I looked at everybody, and I felt comfortable with this guy. His name was Eli Lick. Very nice guy. And I walked up to him and I said, I would like to borrow some money. So he looked at me. He goes, okay, sit down. What do you want to borrow the money for? The restaurant business. And he goes, you want to buy a restaurant? He goes, how much capital do you have? And I go, what is capital? He goes, you don't know what capital is? I said, I don't know what capital is. He goes, I mean money. I said, I don't have any money. If I had money, why would I be at the bank?
Exactly.
And he figured it out. I was just a little kid. They didn't understand anything about financing. Then he goes, do you have any collateral? I goes, what's collateral? He goes, collateral is something we can put a lien on so we can lend you the money in case you can't pay. We take your property. I said, I don't own any property. If I owned property, I would have already borrowed money on it. He goes, so you expect to come into the bank and ask for a loan, and you expect the banker just to give you the loan? I go, why not? That's how you guys make money. When you loan money, you make interest. I'm ready to pay you interest. He laughed so hard. And we had other conversation. Then, he was the head of financing, and he had a lot of new loan officers. And so he pulled me into a conference room with all these loan officers. Some of them are very young. He goes, okay, Shafik, why did you come to the bank? And I said, I want to borrow money. And he goes, this is a good example of a guy thinks he can walk into the bank, ask for the money,
and I'll hand it to him.
And hand it to him.
Yeah.
But we also have to talk to these customers too, because they came to the bank and asked this question. So Eli Lick was very smart, very nice guy. So he goes, okay, how much you want to borrow? I said, $150,000. He goes, you want to borrow $150,000? You know how much money that is? I go, yeah, it's a lot. How much you buying the restaurant for? I goes, $400,000. I'm putting $150 down. The owner is going to carry the note. And he goes, how much gross sale is the store restaurant doing? I go, what is gross sales? Because how much money does it make in a month? I didn't know anything about business. I just had Burger King, and I was just learning about Burger King now that I'm in there. So he goes, okay, what if I lend you $100,000? I said, no. He goes, what if I lend you $125,000? I said, no. He goes, what if I lend you $140,000? I said, no. He goes, you want $150. If I'm giving you $140, you want the money? I said, no, it would be kind of sad for me to go broke because I was short $10,000. So if you want to loan me money, you should loan me $150. And then he looked at me, and at that time, I love the way the banking business was. They all had right to make their own decision. His limit was $500,000. He doesn't have to ask anything. There's no loan committee that you don't know people approving your loan. You never talk to them. You never see them. So he goes, how much money you got in your pocket? I said, $100. He goes, let me have it. He called his secretary. He goes, go open up his account. So we went and opened up the account for $100. He goes, how you want to pay for the loan? I goes, can I just pay interest for the 6 months? And after that, maybe come and reduce the principal reduction by $20,000. He was okay. He goes, wire $150,000 into his account. I want to see what happens. And I was in total shock. When I came out of the bank, I sat down in my car. I didn't even remember how to get home. 21-year-old kid. I was 23, I said at that time. 22, 23.
So all in all, how many hours did you spend before you actually got the wire?
About an hour and a half.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I asked him a later time I got to know him. He goes, I loaned you money based on your confidence. He goes, you say you want 50 and you're not going to bulge. And you didn't care if you bought the business or not, but you want 150. You know your figures. That's what he's going to take.